All right, Jerry Mason, Kickin Lawyer. Hope you guys are having a good day. As always, we want you to like, follow, subscribe to the content. We're available on all social media platforms, podcast platforms, YouTube, where none of you are following us. We're just talking about that. And then please comment, share, all that good stuff. We literally do this for free. So if you get one smile out of this post, please share. And speaking of smiles, Michelle Allen's a longtime sponsor of the show. She's your go-to realtor in the area if you want to buy, sell, rent, lease real estate. She would be glad to help you out. Check her out. And then, of course, if you want to learn to jump kick people in the face, visit masonsmartialarts.com. We have 2 locations, one in Covington, one in Millington. Been open since 1993. Still going strong. And then one of our newer businesses, Jam Books and Records on the Square in Covington. We got records, new books, signed memorabilia, comics. You can come check us out. It's open 6 days a week. And then Holistic Healthcare and Hormones, Dr. Laura Huffman and Madeline Mason. We'd be glad to help you out, get you on the road to maximizing your health. So you can check out holistichealthhormones.com. And then last but not least, if you need help with social media marketing, website design, commercials, whatever, visit masonitemarketing.com. Now, joining me today, I'm excited. I was telling him earlier, I thought I had already had him on because he's a legendary musician. But it's Mr. Chris Ragsdale, also known as Soul Gravy,
yes,
right?
Sir.
How you doing?
Doing good. Thank you for having me.
Well, I watch your stuff. It pops up on my TikTok all the time. I'm more of a, are you a TikTok guy or a YouTube guy or none of it? Or
it seems to be more TikTok.
Yeah.
But I know a lot of people like the YouTube reels and shorts and all that kind of stuff. But I just, for some reason, forget about that.
Yeah, I don't. I go to YouTube for more longer
Me too.
time content.
I don't think about the.
No, I don't.
Short videos
I don't typically watch the shorts. I mean, sometimes one will pop up, with like a busty lady, and I'll click on it. I'm just kidding. I'm not kidding. But anyway, yeah. So
that's how I get people to watch my videos.
Yeah, exactly. You've got so many busty ladies on there. That's right. No, a lot of those, you're mostly guys, I think.
Right. Yeah.
So anyway, you're obviously a musician yourself, right? Mm-hmm. And big into music. So let's start with that. So, I'll tell you what, just introduce yourself. Most people may know you, actually, but tell them who you are and what you do.
Well, I went to school here at Covington High School, and I worked at WKBL when I was in high school for Mr. Royce back in the day. Still love that man. He was super cool to me. And then worked for Flynn Broadcasting for a bit, and turns out you can't make a living on $8 an hour in radio, so back to heating and air and electrical I went. But but I played music. I didn't really get to start until I got my own place. I lived with grandparents half the time growing up, so they weren't no drums.
Yeah. My kids. So all my kids, you probably know most of mine now. Which one had the drum set? Austin. I think Austin had the drum set. Yeah, and drum sets are hard with the kids when you're at home. So I got those after I moved out, and didn't really start playing music with anybody till later musically anyway. It's later in the early 20s. With a lot of Tipton County people. Yeah, no, you've done great. So I'm not musically skilled at all. Like I was on the Gents. You remember the Cressy Gents?
I do.
So I had some rhythm.
Okay.
But I can't sing. I couldn't. I don't play. I tried. Do you remember Miss? I think she's still alive. Miss Chapman, the piano teacher for years growing up.
I believe so.
She was. I tried doing piano, and I wanted to play like Jerry Lee Lewis, and she's trying to teach me like Beethoven. It just wasn't my jam. And then my boys are all very musically skilled, but what I do appreciate is talent. And one thing I have learned from trying to help promote musical acts locally, a lot of times you guys are very talented, but sometimes they're not as good either on the business end or kind of promoting themselves. You get, like Terry Bell, I think is an amazing songwriter. It's like he's great musical talent too, but I think his big strength songwriting, kind of like a Willie Nelson style.
Yes.
And a lot of those guys, they just don't market. You know what I mean? What I was getting at though was I think you have used your platform to do a great job to try to push people.
It's a learn as you go sort of thing. And part of that is I'm sure you have noticed this too, even talking to guys like Terry, as you notice how much a little push and a little shine, how far that goes. And we've we've recorded. I guess we'll get to my podcast eventually, but we've recorded like 150 episodes of different artists so far, and just about all of them need and appreciate the support. So once you kind of see how much that means, it's easy to take that time to put that spotlight, no matter how small of a spotlight it might be.
Yeah. And I definitely want to talk about your podcast too. Yeah. But you just brought up something that made me think of something. Most of my life, I can remember thinking poorly of a lot of like famous managers for musicians. Like personally, I would be like, oh well, you got the guy that kind of took advantage of Elvis. I forget his name, the Colonel or whatever. Parker, yeah. And then you got what was the other one? There was I'm thinking of the boxing managers, but there's a lot of managers that don't get. But now that I'm thinking about it, like I don't manage any acts right now. I try to help the boys with their band some, but I did see years ago. I started to realize that I had a knack for the marketing, and not just in law, but really in any of the businesses I do. Right, and it's something that comes real natural to me, and I feel like I can help spread their, give them some exposure. But I started to see why sometimes maybe a manager is valuable to some people. Because a lot of these super talented musicians, they're so talented in music, but they just don't have a business brain on, because they're so focused on the art.
There's very few that we've talked to over this whole time that we asked a question, a musical pie question, and that's break it up into 4 sections. Which one is your strong point? And that's recording, songwriting, performance, and the rest, the business, promotion, and just about all of them. That is the very small piece of the pie that they can't stand. But there's a few that had their own business and things like that beforehand, and they understand why that's so important. They get it. Yeah. But it's hard to, if you're not used to that, it's hard to dive back into that.
Yeah, I mean, and honestly, sometimes it's probably even a turnoff musically for people if you find somebody that I guess is kind of pushing themselves. But I read a book years ago called what was the name of it? The Art. It was basically like, it was called Brag, the art of tooting your own horn without blowing it. I forget the author. Josh can look it up. But one thing it definitely taught me was, the book was really good, and it basically said that when you're in the beginning of anything, whether it's a business or music or whatever, people don't know you. They don't know you're good or you're the best or you even have anything of value to give them. And so a lot of people in the beginning are so humble, they don't want to tell people about it. This book was basically about, look, part of marketing is bragging. You're indirectly bragging or directly. Matter of fact,
Klaus.
Yeah, that's it. Peggy Klaus. It's a really good book. I recommend people read it. We'll have it at Jam Books and Records located in Covington. But anyway, I think in the beginning, a lot of people need to learn. Now, there's a balance, because you don't want to turn people off by being too arrogant over the top with it. But at the same time, you can't be scared to push yours forward, if you're good enough at it.
Yeah, it is a balance, and it's a struggle, especially for people that aren't arrogant.
Yeah.
If you are,
or super extroverts, super. Yeah. Well, and people are in different positions too. One thing I always talk about, like with my podcast, I don't work for anybody. All my jobs are my businesses. Now I work for the public sorta, because if I piss them off, they don't come to my businesses. But I can say whatever I want right here, and there's really no like, oh, I got to risk getting fired or violating some policy or whatever. It's so I get that with some of them. They're even worried about that even with their music. But speaking of the platform, so tell us about your podcast.
That started originally from TikTok. Honestly, I started playing music on there and things like that. I originally played drums for bands forever, and eventually I got brave enough to start putting some covers on Facebook or whatever. And my daughter talked me into. She's like, you need to put that stuff on TikTok. And I'm like, I don't lip sing and I don't dance, so TikTok's not for me,
Yeah.
And she's like, no, with the eye roll, no, Dad. But once I started actually playing music on TikTok, man, I met so many people with the same commonalities that are just working guys that play music. Some write music, some but a lot of them aren't trying to do anything with it necessarily, but it's just their release from the 9 to 5. And so then that came about, as far as the podcast came out of that, meeting people that wrote their own songs, had a couple hundred followers on Spotify, but couldn't get their music out there because they don't tour or they don't do anything, you know. And then that led to we booked a handful of people, and for some reason, one of my favorite artists in the world is a fellow named Adam Hood out of near Auburn, Alabama. He said yes on like episode 7, and I don't know why he said yes, but he did, and that he's one of those guys that's extremely well respected in that world. And once that did, it was like it made it, gave me some not clout, but some this guy's hitting, trying to do things the right way.
Yeah, got you some legs under you on your platform.
If it wasn't for him, I don't know what we would be doing right now, but the intention would still be the same. But he helped me tremendously.
And so, how long have you done it now?
Almost 2 years.
Okay, man, you've done a lot then, because we've done. What episode are we on, Josh?
Almost 200. We're coming up on
almost 200, but it's been how many years?
3, I think.
I think it's been longer.
We
than
were
that.
really slow at the beginning, and then I asked someone to co-host with me, and once we did that, we've been recording 2 a week for.
Oh, 2 a week. That makes
while.
sense, because we do like 1 a week then. Okay. Yeah, I mean, like we were talking about in the beginning, I try to not judge the success, or whether to do this or not, based on views and likes and follows and shares and all that. Sometimes it's hard though to rate that. And then and as I was voicing with you earlier, it can be frustrating that you do this kind of thing and it takes time. And I mean, we invested money and everything into the studio, and nobody likes or follows or comments or does whatever on it. It just sits there, But what I tell a lot of people, because I mean, it's also relative, because there are people like Joe Rogan that clearly we were all like, oh man, if I had that many, millions of people following every word he says, versus like me, that's what I feel is still like a local deal that I got like 30,000 TikTok followers, and then we got 1,000 something on YouTube. But for a lot of people that have less than that, they're like, oh man, if I could only be right there, so it's all relative, I think, on whether you're quote successful or not. And I think it also kind of depends on what the goal is. And so, like, what was your goal on the podcast? Was there one, or was it just to talk about what you love?
Just to try to help get the word out about some of the music that they had out there.
Yeah.
I mean, that was it. And as far as the way as far as TikTok for me has always been sharing music and just random music things that I love, whether it's vinyl, songs that I've learned, artists that I like, concerts that I've been to, whatever. Because I always like the Facebook groups where you head over, like if you're into whatever and you go subscribe to that Facebook group, and all of a sudden there's all these people that like the same thing you do, right? Whether it's the Comic-Con stuff or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And I like that, especially being a guy that has a family and we don't get out that much, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're doing the dad stuff and the 40-hour week, and all of a sudden you start meeting especially a lot of the music I like is you're not going to hear it on the radio.
Yeah.
So the community is even smaller, and it's nice to meet all those people. That's what it started out being, honestly, and it kind of evolved from there. But it's always been that commonality, because that community of music, that festivals and that style and that community, man, they support music like no other. And it's something that it's hard to talk, or hard to explain until you see it. Like I've been to these different festivals all over where they don't know these people, but they shut up and they listen and they clap and they pay attention to the songwriting and all of that. And the community and the people that listen are just as important as the festival itself. Like the community is the festival,
sure,
if that makes sense. And it's the same for me over there on all the social medias. At least that's my goal anyway. That's what I enjoy. I enjoy meeting all those different people, and the followers came from that. It wasn't necessarily the intention.
Well, I mean, just like now, I think you're real authentic, and I think people recognize that. I think I come off authentic, but I'm also polarizing. People either love me or they hate me.
I have a few of those too. I have a few. Yeah, there's a few that just look at followers and think, whatever they want to think. And
Yeah.
I'm like, it was like, be jealous because I make like $15 a month, be extremely
Yeah,
jealous.
it's definitely not like people think. Like,
No,
I've had
no.
a couple of videos
Which
that
I don't
went,
sell anything either, so that's...
Well, so we went to sort of dabble in that. I did some stupid, I can't believe Josh let me do it. I got these like ugly Chinese shoes that this company wanted me to sponsor. And so we did this stupid ad thing on them. And I don't think anybody bought any. I mean, it was a terrible ad. But it was just kind of to test the waters to see. And then now I do have a shop in my TikTok shop, but it's all stuff I use personally. So it's like supplements I use, stuff like that. But I don't promote them necessarily or push it. Honestly, I don't know that I've made $1 off any of it. But yeah, I was going to say, people think on the views or the followers that you just make all this money on in the social media stuff, but you don't. It's literally pennies on the dollar.
It's helped open doors as far as stuff with the podcast or going to concerts and things like that. But that's really and I don't make anything off of it, but every now and then I get a cool experience.
Yeah, well, and I agree
that's
too.
A huge part
well,
of
it's like, this doesn't make us money necessarily, not directly. But years ago, my goal with this podcast was to talk to interesting people, because I love talking to folks and meeting different people and people that I may have probably never encountered. Like, we've had Elvis impersonators, astrophotographers, politicians, Jerry the King Lawler, clowns. Anyway, all this randomness on here. But what people don't realize is I'm trying to give these people a platform of exposure for people that may follow me that may not have seen them, and then vice versa. Your platform may be interested, and so it's a way to spread your reach, so to speak, for everybody. But hey, is it called Soul Gravy? What's the name of the podcast?
The podcast is called Texas to Tennessee.
Okay, because when you pop up, I think it always says Soul Gravy.
It probably does on social
on TikTok.
Yeah.
So where do you push it? Audio also, and then
Spotify, Apple, and
okay,
and
so
YouTube.
That's what we do. And it's called what again?
Texas to Tennessee.
Texas to Tennessee.
The co-host is in Texas.
Gotcha. So y'all do like a virtual thing? Gotcha.
Yeah, it's like a Zoom style.
Yeah.
Zoom style thing. And
yeah, we want to get into doing some of that because I think it would open guest options up for us, as if we could do outside of the area instead of them coming.
The quality's, not necessarily as good as what we're sitting across from each other talking, and with cameras and whatever. But you're on a phone, or they're probably on a phone, and but like you said, the opportunities are more.
Sure. Well, it's clearly got quality or not, people are following you, and I mean, like I said, it pops up and I watch your stuff. I like a lot of the stuff you put on TikTok where it's clips of bands. You put some of that up sometimes, again, like I guess things you enjoy, and I enjoy the same type stuff. I probably have a little more diverse interest than, well, I don't know, you can tell me. I go through these phases. Like, I'll listen to like 70s rock, and then all of a sudden I'll pivot to like the new released indie artist R&B, like super random.
If it was up to me and like what I listen to, yes, it would be way more all over the place.
Yeah.
But the way all the algorithm stuff works, I don't know. Like, it's hard, I don't think anybody really knows the answer, but I try to keep it a little bit more, towards the artist that we're going to have on. That way it benefits everybody.
Gotcha.
And it's not being inauthentic, because I love that music too. But I have a huge vinyl collection, and it could be.
Have you been in the store yet? Oh, I didn't know you'd been in there yet. I've got more. I just just added. Well, they're not all out yet, but I got 2 different giant collections. One you'd probably be real interested in. It was a guy that I guess when he left, I'm not sure how the guy that I got them from got it, but supposedly the collection came from Pop Tunes.
Okay.
And they're brand new 60s, 70s albums directly just taken from Pop Tunes. Now, some are, not big band or not a big deal, but then some were hitters. Like, there were a couple of Beatles albums in there that one I had never seen myself before, an original pressing. And then, anyway, so what I did is I've been slowly going through it, and I'm not so I'm a big comic book nerd. Like, that's what I'm emotionally vested in. So in the store, intentionally, the comic books are overpriced so you don't buy them, because I don't want to sell them. But the records, I'll sell. I try to put them at competitive prices. I usually try to go online and see kind of what the value is for that. And then, anyway, I try to have curate a good collection, and I try to be like 70s, 80s rock heavy, and rap. I'm trying to get more rap in because there were limited pressings of those in the 80s.
Right.
So I try to be real kind of specific on the curation. Long story short, though, I think we've got another like 300 or 400 out. We even added another table with a section for new arrivals to have all the new arrivals in. So anyway, you're welcome to come check it out.
Have to check that out.
So speaking of music, though, as like an influence, is there like a band or two that you're like, oh man, that's who inspires me? I mean, it's hard to narrow it down, I'm sure. But
it is. Ones that people that I listen to just about every day is, well, this band, Turnpike Troubadours. I got the koozie right there. I actually heard their song on Kicks 106 the other day. I don't normally listen to the radio too much, but it was on, and it kind of threw me back because the band's been around for probably 15 years or so.
Yeah.
They just had a song on,
Yeah.
I was like, hold up. You're not supposed to know about these guys.
Yeah,
the secret's out.
It lost a little of the. It's not cool anymore.
And a guy named Chris Knight is but it's the songs. Like that's what I love. And then I've been all through all the different. I'm a 80s baby and a 90s kid, so I loved all the grunge stuff and everything too, and I still do. But what I listen to just about every day is that kind of.
Yeah,
it's the songs and the lyrics.
It's funny how that kind of stuff is like sort of generational too, because like Josh is all young over here, and if you ask him, he's going to talk about like early 2000s stuff is like the greatest thing ever.
No, I won't.
Yeah,
AC/DC, Metallica.
That it's still sort of like movie based songs though that you right.
It's like 1980s rock.
No, but you like AC/DC because of Iron Man.
No, I mean, it's featured in Iron Man, but I like AC/DC because they're a good band. Drew Wayne knows very little about me.
Yeah, we don't ever talk.
we don't ever talk. He comes in, his entire perception of me is based on when I was like 10 years old.
Yeah, it's fine. He's still 10 to me.
He's just a big fan of Australia.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So the other question I wanted to ask you, this is a question I like to ask all musicians because it kind of puts them in a corner, and I think it's good. And I now have started to learn, actually, just like these groups you mentioned, what I usually do is then go listen to them, right, after you guys bring this stuff up. And it's so funny because musicians, and I'm sure it's like that with lots of different hobby, subculture things. Like with martial arts, I was thinking it's kind of like that. But anyway, you guys will, like you just said, you'll have sort of these artists that you're like, they're my artists. Like that's who I'm listening to. And then so you guys will bring them up when I talk about it, and then I go and listen to them, and I've learned something new. But anyway, I always ask people that play instruments. I know you're kind of drums, but you play guitar also. Who do you think like the number one guitarist is? Like of all time, if you had to pick one, who would you say is the greatest? And then I know you're going to say, well, it depends on the style of music. We're talking acoustic, electric, whatever. If you had to pick one.
It's probably a generic answer, but I would probably say Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Yeah, I think it's a safe answer.
I'm not a big like speed guy. I'd rather feel the emotions and all the playing. And if I were just off the top of my head, I'm probably missing somebody. But I would just
My son Austin says Joe Bonamassa. Yeah, he says that's his number one. But he also likes Marcus King.
Oh yeah.
And what was the other one he brought up?
I can definitely see why Austin would like Marcus King.
He his
he's
style,
got the voice too. Though
yeah,
they're in the same ballpark.
People ask me all the time, when knowing him and Jude and Hunter were in NA the band, like what kind of music it is, and it was always hard for me to describe because Austin's a real soulful voice, and he likes he's like you got, he's into music. Does his own thing, his own art, and it's hard to kind of say what he is, So I always say it's kind of like, I don't know, like rhythm and bluesy. I don't know. It's a lot like Alan Stone, though. I think whatever Alan Stone is kind of what Austin is. He likes that. And he always had marched to his own drum, too. Like, he would go to school when we were growing up in, like, a shirt and tie with a sweater. Because he thought that was cool looking, to dress like. He got made fun of a lot. But it's how he liked to dress. So now he does the music the way he wants to do the music, So you got to respect it.
He definitely has his own thing. When you think of, not to put it in a box or anything, but if you think of Tipton County music, what he does is not
traditional,
the norm.
Yeah.
Which is fine, which is great.
Yeah.
Except for when he plays music with us. I don't like him when he does that. He's extremely good.
Yeah.
The first time he sat in with me and one of our bandmates at Wyatt Earps, I believe it was at that time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then he sang for the first time, and we were like, okay, that's enough.
Yeah.
Pull the plug.
He's
you're done.
Austin is and I don't want to keep bragging on my kid, but he's a good example of this combination where his mom is very talented. She's super musical, like very good singer, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm not, but I do know how to toot my own horn. I'm over the top, I will. And he learned that. So he's got this combination of showmanship mixed with actual talent. And I think it works well for him. He's, really focused right now on family and everything, but I really hope he doesn't lose the drive to continue to just do stuff, And then Noah, of course, is not married. Austin's married expecting a kid. And Noah, who's always his buddy and partner in crime forever, is single, so he's bouncing to this band. He's in Jack and the Fat Man now, and he's doing this over here. And he's obviously very talented too, but it's just interesting with those young cats. That's another thing I was talking about with Brian. Brian, right? My law partner. We were talking about how these musicians, Brian too, Brian's in like 3 bands. Right. All these musicians will bounce over here and they bounce over here, and then they're just doing all this different stuff.
Our bass player is the only one that does that, but he pretty much does that for a living. So,
yeah.
And the rest of us are I've been lucky to for the most part play music with the same guys for about, I think, right at 18 years now.
Oh, nice.
The core, so
nice.
Which doesn't happen that often, especially in bar bands or any kind of band for that matter.
Yeah, they all seem to just jump around.
We've the local Tipton County guy named Scott Mabe. He was our bass player forever. Still love Bass Scott, and hope he's doing well. He had an accident lately, or not like about a week ago. Yeah, and then like forever I played drums with the band, and then we met. The older I get, I have a few health issues and this and that, so it became harder to do the sound and play drums for 4 hours and drive an hour and a half, 2 hours to a gig or whatever.
Yeah.
And so it got recommended to me by some of the guys in the band. Hey, what do you think about getting a drummer? Mm-hmm. And just about around that same time period, I started doing more stuff out by myself. But I started doing it under the Soul Gravy name. Honestly, it sounds stupid now, but honestly, we were Whiskey Redemption for a long time. And I started doing that stuff on my own because I didn't want the noise I was making to look bad on the band. You know what I mean? Yeah. I wanted to kind of do my thing over here, learn, and then go play real music with the guys, And then fast forward a couple of years, and they're like, "Hey, let's get another drummer, change the name. We're gonna ride what you're doing." And I'm like, which was not my call necessarily, and it still doesn't feel comfortable. Like we're playing this weekend. And
you're playing at 797 Distillery, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think we're gonna come. Darren mentioned it, and the reason I say I think we're going to come is Brian is in a play this weekend, and so I'm not. My wife will have to decide when I'm doing what when.
I understand.
But I would much rather walk down. I live right up the street. Walk down the road, see you guys, and enjoy some of the nice spirits at 797 Distillery.
Right. Yeah. So the compromise was for me to call it SG in the Hard Times instead of Soul Gravy in the Hard Times. And then when Darren made the promo, he said Soul Gravy in the Hard Times. I'm like, I still not. I mean, I understand, and I understand why it's natural, but it still doesn't feel right to me because
you don't want to be the front guy, like you're stepping out.
I'm not the front guy, but I'm the guy that does do gigs on my own. Not that they couldn't, they just don't. That's not their thing. But I'll play just about anytime, anywhere, and that as long as life will allow me.
Sure.
So that's
when'd you graduate?
99.
99. Oh, okay. So you're only 2 years behind me. I was 97. Yeah. I thought at first you said, I heard 90, and I was like, wait, why did that make you way older than me? That's not, yeah. No, you're right. As you get up around in your 40s, things do kind of change a little bit. And I don't know so much for me as it's been physically. It's more like my BS meter is different. like what I'm willing to put up with or sacrifice for or do, you know, like I'm trying to really focus on what's a priority to me. And so, yeah, I get the whole time adjustment thing, but I think it's also great that you've done it this long with the same group of folks. That's so rare, you know, and I assume you all enjoy it. And then also the fact that you've been able to move through life with all these phases. Some of you, I'm sure, married.
We're all different ages too.
Yeah.
Especially the core guys, especially me and Seth Deaton and Josh Lentz. We've Josh was in college when he started the band at Union, and Seth is a few years younger than me, and now has 3 kids under the age of 5. Intentionally too, which is crazy. I don't
crazy,
yeah. I told him he didn't want to go a little crazy; he wanted to go all the way crazy. But yes, it went from when I had the family to, you know, I had the little ones, to they were able to go and, you know, party and have and do whatever they wanted to do, and to now they're the ones that are settling down. You know, and my kids are old enough to where they don't, you know, I don't know they're even home until they're hungry or need money, right?
Yeah.
So now it's my time to do a little more than I used to be able to. So it is odd how time. If I was trying to do the podcast 10 years ago, it would have been totally different. So.
Well, it's odd too, like you said, though, that your group has managed to navigate those things together. Because like one of the pressures, I think, again, I go back to like Austin and Noah, is they're in different positions in life. You know, Noah is single and can play music all the time if he wants to. Austin, like I just mentioned, this weekend, I would love to come see you. I got to talk to the boss and see what I'm doing. So Austin's got a boss, you know, that he's got to talk with, and and he's growing a family and a career. And so those things can kind of change the dynamics of the interactions in a group. So
in many ways, it can make it stay together.
Yeah. Well, I agree. I think if you have open-minded people, it can. So what kind of music do you guys play? What do you call it?
Honestly, we pride ourselves on being able to play everything from Merle Haggard to Tool. I'm not a Tool singer, but we all... in the current lineup, with Don Cox on bass and Colton Barnes on drums, the options are very wide, which I absolutely love. Where we can go from the chicken picking Dwight Yoakam to, you know, to some stuff that like the Turnpike Troubadours and to, yeah, I would say Tool is probably the hardest music that we would play. But everything in between. But the sweet spot is that there's a band called the Steelwoods, which is a kind of a country rock. But that country rock, southern rock, all my brothers, that skirting that line between country and southern rock, that's I think that's our sweet spot. We may go to a Whitesnake song after that, but the sweet spot is still that Tom Petty, southern rock, country, that Eagles, that vibe. That's I think that's home for us.
Yeah. So it was making me think about Jack and the Fat Man, and like they're very, you know, Jack, you've met them, I'm sure, right? Jack is like an old soul, and then his dad. What I identify, you may identify with this too. I'm sure you identify both of them. But the dad, man, his energy while he's playing with him, you can tell that's like his dream. He's getting to do what he loves with his son. And I identify with that with my kids. That's why, like, even though I can't play with them, I was at all their stuff, always trying to be supportive because it's my children, you know? And so that's contagious, regardless of his skill as a drummer or not, is the fact that he's just so he's my favorite part. And then Jack's obviously super talented, but I love just watching his dad.
How can you not smile? Seeing them play?
Mike, right?
I've known them very long, honestly, but and I can't say I know them personally, but I've seen them play. Yeah. And like you said, and following them on social media and stuff, you can't help but realize that
they're super nice guys. But what made me bring them up was Jack's kind of an old soul, and he likes what is a guy? I just found an album and called him and just gave it to him because you don't see him come Jim Croce.
Oh, Jim Croce.
Croce. It's his favorite guy. And I just happened to come across in one of the collections an original Jim Croce. I called him and he came and got it. But like I really had listened to Jim Croce, and then he was on the podcast, and I started listening, and then there were songs I like recognized that I didn't know he had.
Yeah.
But his vibe is like an old soul, you know. So like he's kind of got southern rock type sound and everything to him too. Again, which is completely different than like what I would say Austin is. You know, they're all different. But it's also cool that all those talent, including you, all these talents are right here. You know, literally in this Tipton area, West Tennessee.
A lot of the guys I grew up like learning how to play. A lot of the OGs of the area, John Nelson and George Bailey and guys like that. They played the honky tonks back in the day in this area, you know, and I was extremely green playing drums, and I really had no business even being on stage, but they were always super helpful and all that kind of stuff. So that's I guess the talent of the area it's always kind of blown me away.
Well, I'm also curious as we talk about it. I wonder if in other areas, because one thing, this whole music community, in my opinion, seem to be real supportive of each other. Like I don't really get the vibe that anybody's trying to step on anybody else or hold anybody down.
There's always one or two or whatever somewhere, but no, the majority is.
I know of one that around here, some of them didn't really get along with. And partially because I think he was a little more arrogant than he probably should have been, who I'm thinking of. But anyway, that's really it. Everybody else,
it's not much.
Seems to be willing to help everybody up.
And that's Tipton County and surrounding areas for the most part. I mean, like there's always one, it seems, but the majority is because I think they know how it's difficult to get the gigs, difficult to get people to listen. It's, especially if you have original music. That's something that I have on an iPad, but I haven't put out anywhere. I haven't tried to cross that line. Maybe eventually one day, but that's never been I just like to play music with my friends, you know. But the guys that really put themselves out there and write their own music and stuff, man, it's hard. It's hard to find the right group of people that will let you. Everybody loves a crappy version of Neon Moon, you know, but it's hard to get them people to listen to a song that you poured your heart into. Once they do, they love it.
Yeah, we had a guy on, Dutch Vanderpool. I don't know if you met him. All right.
I met him at the songwriter.
Yeah.
thing.
Okay. Yeah. So I was there too, and I'd never known him before, and went, and he was there. Had him on the podcast.
Which was a great event.
Yeah. And we need to do more of that. He was a great dude. I told Noah the next time he wants to set it up, he needs. Noah's again a real good talent, and he's trying to sort of spread things out. But you got to be willing to get money behind it. You get like a money award, get a business to sponsor it, all those kind of things. You can make it bigger. But anyway. So we had Dutch on, and it's a completely different kind of music. His was more of like a Beach Boy, I don't want to say John Denver, but it's just a different vibe than a lot of the Southern rock or blues stuff that people are doing. And so he gave me his CD, and he's written several books too. Which is again all unique, very talented stuff that just he's so nice and nobody knows. You
wouldn't know.
Yeah. So, but my point was, it's all these different genres, and then. Like you said, if you don't go to these events or they don't have these events, you don't know that those folks are there. One of my personal goals, and this is part of why we opened the Cellar originally. I'm not an owner anymore, but I was one of the founders for the Cellar restaurant. And I used to manage and book all the acts for the music there when we first opened. And so then when I opened the bookstore up here in the front, there's the chair section, and my plan was to be able to move that and then do live music. There's even a neon I bought that says live music because I wanted to have live music there. And then I knew that initially it was just Lisa Keith, but now you got Lisa Keith at Liberty Vintage Marketplace, and now Darren's got a stage too. I wanted to have this whole area feel like an art district, like Midtown. And then on a Friday, Saturday night, there's music everywhere. You go all around, there's music here, there's music in this store, there's music up here, and all the artists have these opportunities to perform, and people literally come because there's all these different tastes. We've been talking now about organizing a music fest with beer vendors and all this kind of stuff to try to do on the square. The Ruffin was the other place because at the time I was on the board there. So you have music there, you have it all over, and have a big event where people can come here and hear all the great music that we have. And you don't even have to bring in some other outside big act. We have plenty of music here that's very talented, But my point was, one of the reasons I keep doing all these businesses is my goal was to, if I feel a void in the community for something that I think is a draw that people might need in Memphis or want somewhere else, I want it to be here so that my goal is my children and grandchildren will want to live here. That's my goal. So I don't want people to be scared to come here. They need a fancy restaurant. Well, let's do a fancy restaurant. We ain't got no place for Barnes and Noble, no books, and I'm gonna do books and records. You know, whatever I can facilitate that's gonna at least break even for me, but be an asset to the community, then I'm willing to work towards that. You know, but this area has so much potential, not just with the music, but just this whole square area here. I think would be great. I don't mean to rant about it, but
one of the things that I would love to do is combine our podcast situation with the local musicians.
Yeah.
I talked to Darren about this too, maybe working something out with him or whatever the case would be. There's tons of options, but the thought was to do a podcast like what we're doing now, but also have like 30 minutes of music, 30 minutes of interview, or whatever the case would be.
Sure.
Maybe an hour and a half long and divide it up, or and have a couple in one night, so that so that if we have Jack and the Fat Man and just whoever in Terryville and Austin, whatever, then you got 3 different crowds that are that will come and hear each other's music. You know,
that's a good idea.
To cross.
Yeah.
But and make an evening of it, and you can record 2 or 3 podcasts and promote local musicians and local music. And of course, all of my stuff would be on a phone or whatever, but the product or the music would still be out there.
Yeah, he mentioned something to me about that, and so. You obviously haven't got to sit down and me and you talk.
Right.
But I am all pro helping the community. However I can facilitate that. Josh has even kind of come on board on this Comic-Con thing, right, Josh? About
sort of. I'm more for like networking
for.
Across the U.S. Jerry's more Tipton County.
Yeah. So what I bring it up. I bring it up because we got the Comic-Con coming up October 4th, and this year, and this will be the 5th time we've done it. And the original goal of it, my goal is never to make money. Like, honestly, I'll never forget the first year we did it. It was so much work to put the damn thing on. And we got done, and I think we made like $100 a piece or something after all the work. It was really in net zero. And but everybody loved it. It was super successful as far as people in the community loving it. Anyway, so we as owners of it's me, him, and Tara Thompson from the ice cream place are the owners of the Comic-Con promoters. Anyway, we always have this back and forth because I'm willing to like cut the prices. Let's get the people in, make sure the vendors are like this year we're doing a dungeon crawl. You're probably not familiar with the nerd culture, but there's this book called Dungeon Crawler Carl, right?
Okay.
And in it, it's kind of an RPG type role playing book, and it's funny anyway. But he's in a dungeon and he's doing this crawl. So a crawl is like a beer crawl, pub crawl type thing. So we're taking that and we're going to use it with the Comic-Con, where what they do is they get a map. They buy their ticket, they get a map. They go to all the vendors and get stamped to show they've crawled. And then there are some local businesses that they're going to go crawl to and have benefits there. Like my bookstore, the Turquoise Paintbrush beside us, 797 Distillery. And then they finish at the Ruffin. And then the Ruffin will check their card, make sure they did it. And then there's a costume contest at the Ruffin with all of the cosplay. And then they draw for a big prize. So they get entered in a prize if they complete the crawl. But my point is, I wanted these people that are coming into this area to get to see these other businesses, and those businesses benefit from it, because I feel like as a community, if we all work together, that's why I refer back to, I think that most of the musicians are not cutthroat. Most of them seem to be very pro, everybody needs to succeed. And I wish that all these businesses around here would see that. Like if Lisa Keith down there has 300 people show up, that is indirectly benefiting my businesses, and the community, because those people may pass by my business and had not known it was there. So anything that draws people to the community or gets eyes on other talent is good for all of us. So again, another rant, but that's my goal.
No, it definitely makes complete sense. And it would, what I was talking about would benefit the podcast as a whole.
I think it's great.
The backside of it is people that don't care anything about the national artist would like to hear their local artist story, and you never know.
Yeah, no, I think it's great. I think and that's why I was glad to have you on.
Same thing.
is, again, we've done almost 200 episodes, and for some reason I thought, I guess I just know of you so much, I thought we'd already had you. But I'm always glad to see your following increase and people on there, because I haven't got to sit down and talk with you, but you seem like a genuine and good dude, you know. And that's who I hope succeeds, is those kind of folks.
Try to.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like you said, it's a slow grow and everything, but it's kind of worked out for the good to be a slow grow for us, because we're learning as we go also. So.
Well, tell me about real quick. Do you have any other? I know Friday night. When is this going up, Josh? Tuesday. So you'll have already performed, but Friday night you're going to be at 797 Distillery.
Well, honestly, we take it really slow these days. So we don't have too much. You can follow our SG and the Hard Times page on Facebook, and if you are interested in booking us or anything like that, I live in Tipton County, and one guy lives in Bartlett. The rest of them are in Lauderdale and Dyer. So we kind of cover all of West Tennessee as far as where we normally play. It's usually that Dyersburg, Jackson, Memphis kind of triangle. But
we won't hold it against it that you got fun. Lauderdale County people in there.
I understand.
I'm just kidding.
I understand.
I always joke with them, Lauderdale used to be part of Tipton. A lot of people don't know that.
Okay.
The whole reason that Covington is the county seat and it's north of the county, usually the county seat's in the middle, is because that was the center when you had Lauderdale in it. Okay. And then they realized they wanted to up the IQ, so they cut it off.
Tipton County ones up.
I'm just kidding.
I got you.
I'm just kidding. I like my Lauderdale people too. All right. Well, Chris, I appreciate you coming on.
Yes, sir.
I would have liked to have you a lot more. And a lot of times I have people get on here and sing. That way you can awkwardly stare into my eyes as you do some romance song.
I got you.
It's great.
I'll learn something.
but we can do that next time, maybe. Right. So one more time, tell them where to follow you at, where to subscribe.
The most important places are, for me personally, is the Texas Tennessee podcast on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, all those. Hit that follow button and the subscribe, because that helps. As you know, the more subscribers, the more interactions you get, the better. Unfortunately, you have to sell it.
Yeah, and potentially the better guests you get too.
Exactly.
So the better quality it can be.
The better your numbers are, the better not always, but the potential better.
Yeah,
guests
and
you
look,
can get.
if you guys are following this far,
I've been waiting on Jerry to get his numbers up before I came on. That's what he.
Oh, is that what it was? Okay. Well, my YouTube numbers aren't going anywhere. Again, I'm not busty. That's the problem.
I say that all the time.
But if you watch this far on the podcast, make sure you follow and subscribe to his stuff on YouTube, and please ours too. Like I said, we don't have, I think it was maybe 1,200 followers or subscribers on YouTube.
We're in the same ballpark.
And it's been like that for like years. So, and then there's Michelle Allen, of course. You can like and follow her. She's your go-to in the area, and we've already talked about kicking people and stuff. Mason's Martial Arts, and we're always running deals there too. So check out the website or the Facebook page, and we'd be glad to have you come join us. And then we've talked about the bookstore. I do have a ton of new records up there. I've got a whole lot of new signed memorabilia too. From movies and music and whatnot. We got signed guitars in there. Pretty cool. And then if you want to maximize your health, you definitely need to visit Holistic Health and healthhormones.com. That company is really helping people maximize their well-being. I'm personally in better health and shape because of things they found in my own test that I did. And then if you want help with your own marketing, social media, branding, etc., just visit masonightmarketing.com. Appreciate you guys taking time to watch us always. Please have a good rest of your week and keep kicking. Thanks for watching, guys. Just remember that this is not legal advice or investment advice or business advice. This is for fun and entertainment purposes only.